found AHO Radio. We're authentic human outliers coming together to help heal the fear of being authentic. To bring back genuine human conversation. No hype, no sensationalism, just honest talk about the critical issues affecting society, affecting humankind. And now, here are the hosts of AHO Radio, John Krotec and Bill Protzmann. Hey, John. Greetings from the left coast of these United States, where things are just about crazy here toward the middle, or maybe the middle of March. It's middle of August. I don't know. What's going on, man?
My sentiments exactly. Nobody knows what time it is, what month it is, what year is this,
Seriously.
Yeah, it's good to see you, Bill. And I'm John. We're here on the west coast of Florida. And it's been an interesting day. I'm happy to be here again with you on the Poetry Corner. Today's been an interesting day.
Yeah.
Been talking to a lot of people, and everybody wearing masks now, by choice. And but the comments that I got today, and people who I've talked to today, actually motivated and inspired me to write today's poem for Poetry.
Sweet. I see 2-minute warning back there, and I'm like, okay, so what is this all about? 2-minute warning?
Man, we're in a spiritual Super Bowl, and when you hear the words to this poem that I wrote today, it actually was inspired by a good friend, a mutual friend of ours, John Schwinn up in Chicago. And we were talking about the current state of affairs with COVID and how reactionary and people are, and the level of fear and intolerance and all this crazy stuff going on. And so, the 2-minute warning is it's about a game that we're in, but a very serious game. And we use the analogy of the 2-minute in football, obviously, when things get down and dirty, especially when the game is on the line. And that's what I wanted to share today is 2-minute warning. Let me we'll just get right to it, and let me cue it up here. And thank you for listening again, all you out there who are listening to Bill and myself on AHO Radio, the Poetry Corner. We really appreciate your support and your love of poetry and music, and it's just great to be here again. So this is called 2-minute warning. We're going into the 2-minute warning part of the game with the light team up 48-12. The devilish players know the jig is up. Even so, it doesn't matter to them. The dark team is pulling out all of the stops. Worse than ever before, their penalties are mounting up quickly. They've even stomped a few referees this time. Well, don't lose sleep. Trust me on this one, dear fans. There's no reason to fear. The outcome is already known. It was written in the ancient playbook several millennia ago. So sit back, buy a hot dog or two, watch them struggle. Their game plan will not work. Just try to have some fun. Everyone knows the light always wins. Always. It's just a take on the things that we're witnessing at a global level. Many of us have never had to witness any of these things that we're seeing, this level of intolerance and violence. And, the people more and more people that I talk to these days think that it's deeper than just a virus.
Sure. Yeah.
Have heard evil versus good versus evil, spiritual, vibrational states, a universal reset button. And what it's elicited, and Bill, man, we have talked about this so many times, the level of fear. And the thing about fear, the emotion of fear can save your life. We get that, right? If it wasn't built into the human organism, a lot of us may not even be here. But fear that becomes chronic, and fear of something that may or may not be real, allows the human organism to be manipulated in certain ways. And that's a reality. I mean, we can call it science, we can call it whatever, but you can literally, gosh, the word control is so overplayed. You can
it's not about that. It's actually, I think it's acceptance and release. Like if you release yourself into your fear, it loses its grip on you.
it loses its grip on you. And you know what? I'm glad you pointed that out, because it was pointed out to me today by a friend that really believes in Eastern spiritual practices.
Mm-hmm.
And what they were saying is that in the Eastern religions, and this person doesn't adhere to dogma of any kind. He's talking more of the spiritual side of living. He says in the Eastern spiritual practices, they look inward. And with Western spiritual practices, a lot of it is looking outside of the person, a deity or something different. And so what he was telling me is, if we can confront ourselves and deal with the fears we have inside each of us, what you just alluded to, we can move on to something bigger and better. In fact, the whole the Tibetan Book of the Dead is all about relinquishing this fear of death, because we're all so scared of what can kill us. Oh, you can die from this, or we can succumb to this. And so we don't spend our time living our lives the way they were meant to be. Because the way it is now, my gosh, Bill, I might as well masking tape my whole house and stay inside, because, sunlight can kill you, hornets can kill you, COVID. I mean, anything outside, a meteorite could drop on me. But what am I going to do? Am I just going to be so scared that the first person or government or leader that comes along and says, I need to do this, that I'm just going to succumb to anything they tell me?
Well, so there's a whole school of thought that says we're getting exactly what we need, whatever that is. I mean, it could be global, like a pandemic, or it could be on the micro level, like loss of income or whatever. And if you subscribe to the school of thought that says adversity is like your friend to get you back in the right path to achieve whatever it is you want to achieve, then you put yourself in a completely different place in relationship to what's going on. And you wind up opening up. And we talk about vulnerability, but how many of us are really vulnerable right now? I mean, really practicing vulnerability, which also means accepting the adversary and rising to the challenge of whatever that is. And so I don't really see this as a light versus dark. Love your poem, but the analogy isn't quite apt for me. For me, I see it as a challenge to Bill to do what Bill needs to do to meet the opportunity that's coming at me as an adversary. And yeah, okay, on the global level, I hope that light wins too. I mean, I really do. There's a general tendency toward good, and I hope that that's the thing that pulls us all there. Great, but for me, I'm looking at it and going, okay, so where's Bill's tendency toward good? What's my vulnerability right now? It's huge. Our vulnerability is pretty amazing. There's lots of crazy out there, and we're all vulnerable to it. But if I just accept that and look at my own self, like you're talking about, look inside myself and say, where is Bill vulnerable? Where can Bill be authentic? How can I rise to the challenges that are coming to me personally? That's an opportunity where I can make a difference. I might not be able to make a systemic difference, but I can make a difference for me, and maybe that touches, my wife and my kids, or maybe that touches my friends, and something happens there too. But it's less goal-oriented, if you will, John. It's not about winning the war. It's about the process of walking through the swamp, to put a kind of an analogy on it. You know what I mean?
But yeah, and I do get that, and I understand that viewpoint. But the reality is we live in a society. And if anybody that studies psychology and leadership and those kinds of things, the easiest way to basically get people to do what you want is to instill fear.
Oh, so sure,
there is what you talk about, the internal, personal part of this, but there's also the societal part of this. And if you're not scared, honestly, I tell you, I kid you not, I am not scared of COVID-19. I am not scared of catching the virus. That's not there with me.
Your survival is highly outweighs your potential death. I mean, the survival statistics on COVID are hugely positive. Hugely.
Well, and the percentage of infection is drastically low.
Yeah, compared to like diabetes and
And, and
sugar
so,
and coffee and alcohol and cigarettes and stuff that kills us.
well, in alcohol, why aren't we talking about an alcohol ban? They're going to kill me
Yeah.
if Jack Daniels hears this. But the reality is that, and that's how I was coming to it from the poem, is that if we allow fear to overtake us, then I already feel, and quite personally, I already feel like I've given up some of my unalienable rights
Oh, sure. Yes.
because of the fear that's been instilled in people over COVID-19.
Yeah. This is a
And
huge opportunity to manipulate us based on fear. And you know what? I don't want to go there. And you don't either. We've been at this for a while, right? And being afraid of something that is actually out there, but that isn't as scary as they're making it out to be, is
well,
irrational, right? That's an irrational fear.
I heard it is, and I heard a guy the other day on the it was with some talk show, and he was saying that how is, and he was being very snide. How is God or spirituality going to save me? I'm looking at the facts and figures from the doctors, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, I'll look at it from his viewpoint. So let me go to the doctor's facts and figures and what we just said. Let me see, almost a 99% survival rate and a 1.15% overall population infection
Mortality or
rate.
infection,
No,
right?
the infection rate. And in fact, nearly 60% of the people who have died from COVID, my heart goes out to their families, were people that were already compromised and in a situation that they weren't well to begin with.
Right.
And so if I'm going to take his approach and go, okay, I'll use the science approach. Why are you wearing a mask? You follow what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
So, and I'm not wearing a mask, and I'm taking a spiritual approach. Just saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're all entitled to our viewpoints, and you can look at fear in many different ways. But I do know this, and this is not me because I'm not a rocket scientist, and I'm not a published historian. But the facts speak for themselves. Anytime you have a population who loses their rights and lives in fear, are the easiest population to manipulate.
Yes.
So that's real. Whether or not we're in a 2-minute warning or not, whether or not it's a battle of good and evil, that's all metaphor. But I do know this, and I believe this I do believe that in any society, 9 times out of 10, good is going to overcome the bad in any society.
Sure. Yes.
In the conversations I heard today, and I know I didn't ask anybody what their political affiliation or spiritual, practices were.
Yeah, it's kind of beyond that now, isn't it? Beyond politics and whatever.
Well, it's beginning to become beyond that, because most of the people that I talked to today, and me, man, I never shut up, and I talk to all kinds of people, and the consensus I got today is, when is enough going to be enough?
Yes.
When are we going to be allowed to go back and live and open our businesses and be able to go to a movie and be able to take these masks off that, one lady at the store was telling me that her friend wears a mask religiously and caught it. So anyhow, we don't want to go there. Let me. So yeah. My whole thing is this is a great time to introspect. And this is a great time, like you pointed out, for each of us as individuals to really think about ourselves. And obviously we need more self-love, more compassion for ourselves first. And then maybe that intolerance level that we're seeing, that's astronomical. Maybe we as individuals can do something to cure that. Because honestly, to shut down a global economy for something with the facts and figures that this guy on the radio was talking about doesn't make sense to me. And in fact, it's not making sense to a lot of people. Yeah. So forget the political parties, forget religion. Let's look at facts and figures. Something's not right, man.
America is an interesting experiment right now because of our individualist nature. We were founded on individualism. We're founded on don't tell me what to do. It's kind of like the don't tread on me flag that we libertarians like to remember. But that gets us in trouble when we need to respond as a society. And we did pretty well responding to World War II. And we started to fracture when we got to Korea, and we fractured further over Vietnam. And the whole global war on terror has been something that's really pulled us apart. So our individualist response has sort of been co-opted by our willingness to allow the government to direct the ship. And I know speaking as a libertarian, but let me just speak as a human being here. as a human being, this fracturing means that I can't even go out in public wearing a mask because my motivation is to be compassionate to you. I don't want you to have to worry about whether I might sneeze and infect you. That's my motivation. But guess what? That's getting lampooned because other people are out there going, nobody's going to tell me what to do. And that's fine. I'm good with that. But when somebody needs to guide the ship, when is it that we think about the other person first? And allow that idea of do no harm. When do we allow that to be the animating power behind our choices? That's my real big question out of this whole COVID thing.
Well, in a perfect utopia, that would be grand. And I think that that's something that all people probably deep down would like to adhere to. Do unto others as you would do unto,
Sure. Yeah. Golden rule. It's in every single major religious tradition in the world.
And we didn't write it. And so, the central theme to all of those societal cures, if you will, we've mentioned one, compassion.
Yeah.
But also love.
Absolutely.
And it's okay, as a knuckle dragging guy, you can love somebody and you can admit it. And I think sometimes in our culture, we're not allowed to be vulnerable. And the one reason why we're doing the show is to create authentic conversation and share poems and music. So
yeah, space around vulnerability like this, right?
Yeah. And so, people are going to do what people are going to do, and there's nothing that we can really do to stop individuals from living their lives.
True.
When I think about repressive governments and, the level of tattletaling that was going on in some of these repressive regimes, and neighbors were turning in their neighbors, people that you thought you knew and trusted were turning in their own neighbors to the Stasi,
Yeah.
And so, let's police ourselves first. Let's look at ourselves and try to be more compassionate and really try to embrace fear for what it is, but don't let the fear guide us into being intolerant and tattletales and trying to tell the other person how to live their lives.
Right.
That being said, if compassion in your case means wearing a mask, then have at it, wear a mask. If I am going to be in close proximity to somebody, I'm going to wear a mask. But if I'm not going to wear a mask driving around,
that one really gets me. In your car, you're wearing a mask, dude.
Or I'm not going to jog with a mask on, if I'm not patching anybody.
Can't flip and breathe,
But it is common sense. But let's look at compassion and love and embracing fear for what it is. Fear is not really real unless you're being chased by a grizzly bear. Then there's good reason to be scared, or you're surfing in the surf zone with the great whites are out there, keep your head on a swivel. But let's not point fingers and be ridiculed or ridicule and let's just, stay alert, stay alive. That's what one of my sergeants in the Army used to say.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We're better than this, right? We've got this. We really do. And that fear thing, who was it? John, who sang that? Who did the song? All you need is love. Is that
Beatles?
Beatles. Yeah, that's Beatles. I'm thinking all you need is love. That's it, man. And that's really all you need. I mean, it really solves a lot of problems when you think about it, right? So yeah, pull that into your heart. And whether it's light versus dark, or whether we're at the 2-minute warning, or the asteroid's about to hit the Earth, or whatever the disaster is, love is the way.
Yeah, and a couple of books that I'd suggest out there. The Lord of the Flies is a good read.
Oh man, no, that'll shake your world.
A classic, Lord of the Flies, and that's a great book. And then there's so many good books out there. I also one about vulnerability. The Dare to Lead by Brene Brown is another one I recently read. A good friend of ours bought that, and that's all about vulnerability and not allowing fear to involve itself in our daily life.
And you know what? I got to throw in on this too, because Lord of the Flies triggered something for me. Have you ever read Ender's Game?
I have not. It's science fiction?
I'll put it in the show notes. It's science fiction. I'm not going to give any of it away, but it is on the required reading list for the Marine Corps Officer School.
Interesting. Who's the author to that?
I'll put it in the notes. I forget right now. It's a sci-fi writer. Everybody will know him. But there's a series. It's been made into a movie. You can get the movie. But the point is so salient right now. It's like the point in Lord of the Flies, right? There's something that's just fundamental about human beings and who we are and being manipulated and what we think of as doing the right thing and how we're so vulnerable to being steered by our emotions if we're not aware of them. So yeah, I'll put it in the show notes. But I stomped all over your poem, man. Let's hear it again.
No. It's all good. This is why we're here, man. We're here to have a real discussion. But no fear. All you need is love. And here you go. So 2-minute warning.
2-minute warning.
We're
John Krotec, by the way.
Yeah.
2-minute warning. A poem by John Krotec, everybody. John T. Krotec. And the book is Fractals. You can go out and buy that. It's available now online. You can get the hard copy. You can get the digital copy. And open yourself up.
It's out there. Yeah, expand your mind. We love poetry here, and Bill's a musician, and which is basically poetry set to a melody,
Pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much. So here you go. 2-minute warning. No fear. All you need is love. Have some compassion. This too shall pass, right? We're going into the 2-minute warning part of the game with the light team up 48-12. The devilish players know the jig is up. Even so, it doesn't matter to them. The dark team is pulling out all of the stops, worse than ever before. Their penalties are mounting up quickly. They've even stomped a few referees this time. Don't lose sleep. Trust me on this one, dear fans. There's no reason to fear. The outcome is already known. It was written in the ancient playbook several millennia ago. So sit back, buy a hot dog or two, watch them struggle. Their game plan will not work. Just try to have some fun. Everyone knows the light always wins. Always the sun comes up.
There you go, people. 2-minute warning, John Krotec.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you, man.
No fear, man. No fear.
No fear. All there is love. All you need is love.
All you need is love.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of AHO Radio. Information we mentioned is probably in the show notes, but if we missed anything, please let us know and we'll get it added for you. Subscribe to the AHO Radio channel on YouTube to stay connected, and, as always, we wish you health, success, and significance. AHO!
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 Thanks, Bill. AHO!
Thanks.